the new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
to us, black excellence.
that had to be there.
We getting tighter, you know what I'm saying? And united we stand, and ain't nothing else.
Now, I bet you want to know why Jay Z and Beyonce's name keep popping up around the whole Diddy thing. Well, that's why I'm here. Now, first thing you gotta know is when somebody like Diddy gets taken down, things always start out as a rumor. Diddy has had rumors floating around for like decades. Well, Jay Z had a problem. He right there in the corner, by the way. Jay Z has had a few rumors himself, but more like speculation. People see Jay Z in a picture of R. Kelly, they're like, I guess they both make music. Then Jay Z with Harvey Weinstein. People are like, I guess they both do business. Then, of course, Jay Z with Diddy. Now, hold on. Here's the thing. Jay Z and Diddy go way back. Like back to the days when they were both coming up. So you could say they might just have a lot of respect for each other. But on the other hand, people are like, well, if you've known each other that long, Jay Z, you must have known what Diddy was on. But Jay Z has always had a history of keeping quiet, which brings us to Aaliyah. Now, I'm sure y'all remember R. Kelly dated Aaliyah when she literally needed her parents' permission slip to get married. Now, if I remember correctly, her parents got the permission slip and said, marry who? And that's how this whole thing got exposed. Now, a lot of people in the industry actually knew about this relationship because they would work with R. Kelly. They would be in the studio with R. Kelly. Now, according to Dame Dash, who listened closely, was Jay-Z's first business partner and also dated Aaliyah when she was 21. He said this is how it went. He said he didn't want anything to do with R. Kelly because everyone knew what type of timing R. Kelly was on. He looks over at Jay-Z and Jay-Z's out here creating collab albums with R. Kelly. But then he saw why. For starters, everyone had a crush on Aaliyah. People were waiting down the clock until she turned 18. But Jay-Z decided to get a head start. Now, there was absolutely no proof that Jay-Z went after Aaliyah, but people were like, let me see another picture. But apparently Jay-Z wasn't successful and Dame Dash started dating her when she was 21. Now, what does this all have to do with Diddy? It's the secrets. It's the, like what happened to Diddy, making people wonder. Nas came out, well, he technically didn't come out and say this, but while he was having his legendary beef with Jay-Z, he's doing a radio interview and he's saying, it's weird that Jay-Z be working with people that need a permission slip to marry somebody, R. Kelly. But again, rumors, kind of like what was happening to Diddy. But then this lawyer comes out and says, boy, do I got some news for y'all. And here's where it starts to get wicked. Now, he's going after Diddy. Specifically, listen closely, anyone that Diddy might have done something to, or anyone who's watched Diddy do some of these things and stayed silent about it. Now, first of all, the lawyer's taking calls from anyone. So theoretically, anyone could just call trying to get some money saying Diddy did this to me, Diddy should pay me. But in the lawyer's defense, I'm sure he's looking for people with proof. Honestly, I don't know him. He could be trash. Anyway, what he said next is what got people interested. He said, and I got some names. He said some wild names. Some names that will blow your mind. He's selling this. He said, yo, y'all finna wild out when you hear these names. I'm not gonna say it now. Y'all finna wild out. So people are like, Now, in Beyonce's case, it's just because she's married to Jay Z and she's been in the industry for like 20 years. People are like, you must have known something. But that's all people have. Now, in Jay Z's defense, he's famously all about the money. As far as we've seen, he's always been around Diddy for like a public event or when money's involved.
Grab some popcorn, guys, because Diddy's house of cards has just begun to tumble. And while many of you may have predicted this, Diddy surely didn't. Now that practically the majority of Hollywood is attempting to stay away of him, he began blaming his close buddy and partner in crime, Jay Z, as the one who ratted him out. Now, those are some weird claims, right? What are the chances that Jay is the genuine criminal mastermind behind all the dirty things that goes on behind the black curtains of the hip-hop industry?
What's going on? Losing hundreds of thousands, millions of followers every day, and she still hasn't said anything. Just pretending like life is great in Paris.
Is it her place to say so?
I mean, probably not, considering she's gonna be indicted for anything she would say. These are criminals. Diddy is a drug dealer, and so is Jay-Z. The proof is there.
All right, y'all, let's chat about what's been going on with Diddy this past week. It's been straight up chaos, no question. So here's the deal. Federal Homeland Security officers visited up two of Sean Coles' houses in Los Angeles and Miami as part of an ongoing investigation into some serious charges. We're talking about some big things here. Now, Aaron Dyer, Coles' attorney, came through with a statement seeking to clarify the air. He essentially said, hold up before y'all jump to conclusions, let's pump the brakes. He contended that all the news about these raids was really jumping the gun on condemning Mr. Coles. According to him, the manner these searches went down was straight up aggressive, like some military-level operation. He alleged that Coles' staff and family was slapped with some severe punishment for no no justifiable cause. Dyer wasn't stopping there, though. He was out here attempting to wipe Diddy's name clean as a whistle. He was like, "Look, my client ain't having none of this. He's innocent until proven guilty, so don't be coming at him with all this hostility. You've got to give it to Dyer. He's out here trying to do damage control and maintain Diddy's name as intact as possible." Mr. Coles was never imprisoned, but talked to and cooperated with officials. Despite media conjecture, neither Mr. Coles nor any of his family members have been detained, nor has their ability to travel been hindered in any way. There has been no finding of criminal or civil responsibility with any of these charges. Mr. Coles is innocent and will continue to fight every single day to clear his reputation. Amidst these trying circumstances, Suge Knight, who is also behind bars, said that because Diddy's so-called leverage is in the hands of authorities, many individuals would attempt to take him down one way or the other to stop him from dragging them down.
P. Diddy leaves the Metropolitan Detention Center jail in Brooklyn. New reports say he was taken to the hospital for a few hours last week to get an MRI. We're just now learning about this, though, because Diddy was taken from the jail late at night.
Here is Suge Knight from prison talking about Diddy.
I tell you what, Puffy, your life is in danger. Because you know the secrets, who's involved in that little secret room you guys participating in.
Now, ALB certainly also said that he has been working on a documentary on his life, where he would be disclosing his narrative, leaving no stone unturned. He also intimated that he could know some vital information concerning the accident that placed him into a coma. Looks like Diddy is going to have to face the music pretty soon, as individuals are aggressively coming forward to share their experiences with him. One of them is Tanika Ray, a TV personality who had worked with Diddy as a backup vocalist. She stated that she had a difficult experience while working under the rapper, so much so that she purposely avoided him. In her social media post, she added that she knew she had to avoid Diddy at all costs, even if she was dancing for him. She claimed that, while she was involved in administrative chores, she nevertheless maintained her space, implying that the current storm was apparently nothing compared to what she had observed. Remember how Lil Rod alleged in his complaint that Diddy used to brag about getting away with brandishing weapons during an incident in 1999? Well, the victim has come forward to put the record straight, stating that P. Diddy Combs was the true culprit behind a 1999 New York club shooting. You may recall that the event led in rapper Shine being convicted, but Combs was released go scot-free. She brazenly disclosed that Diddy punched her in the face during the famed club incident, but he purportedly used his power and financial resources to manipulate the situation in his favor, guaranteeing his acquittal and leaving Shine to spend a decade in jail. But the point is, Mark Curry, who was signed to Diddy's label, said that as soon as Shine was released, Diddy supposedly had him deported in fear of the truth coming to light.
If he would have came home and told the truth, it would have incriminated Puff. If he would have came home and stepped foot on the United States soil after doing that time for shooting that person, or whatever he was doing, shooting in the air, he was shooting in the air. Whatever he was there, he would have came home and told the truth about that night. Like even after doing time.
Ever since these claims came out, fans have been searching over Diddy's background with a fine-tooth comb, attempting to put together any hints concerning these severe charges. Now, let's flash back a few years ago when Diddy and a young Justin Bieber were kicking it together, producing music and having a wonderful time. There's this film from that period when Justin was hanging out with Diddy for a whole 48 hours. Now, what's got everyone's eyebrows raised is the fact that Diddy straight out handed Justin a vehicle. And let me remind y'all, Justin was underage at the time. Now, we all know how things operate in Hollywood, right? Ain't nothing simply given out for free. So when Diddy dropped these words, the internet went wild. Where we hanging out and what we're doing, we really can't disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. Now, here's where things become much murkier. Some persons are raising significant concerns about what could have been occurring behind closed doors during those 48 hours that couldn't be recorded on video. There's this entire idea flying around that Justin could have been one of Diddy's alleged victims. I mean, think about it. After that interaction, Justin very much did a U-turn and avoided having to do with Diddy like the plague. Now, if hanging out with Diddy was truly as fantastic as he made it seem, why the abrupt ghosting? But wait, there's more. Fans couldn't help but note that Diddy made a point of emphasizing that he had custody of Justin during those 48 hours. It's like he was attempting to create control, this authority, so nobody could dispute what went on during that period. And this ain't the first time we've heard of this type of issue. Remember when Usher spent an entire year living beneath Diddy's roof? Yeah, same thing. Who knows what may have gone down during those days? And get this. Diddy held legal custody of Usher until he released his debut record. Now, during an interview with Howard Stern, Diddy delivered this bombshell. I got a chance to see some things. I went there to see the lifestyle, and I saw it. I don't know whether I could engage in or even comprehend what I was looking at. It was quite wild. Amidst all the swirling allegations surrounding Usher, Justin, and his famed shindigs, the issue took a serious turn when lawsuits began springing up left and right. The floodgates erupted when Cassie Ventura filed a lawsuit against him back in November. She leveled some serious claims, saying he attacked her in 2018, pressured her into carrying a handgun to frighten her, and forced her into unwelcome sexual meetings with his male workers. Diddy's legal staff moved into high gear, and they managed to promptly handle the complaint inside a day. But the legal tempest didn't finish there. 2 additional cases followed, and they're still continuing. However, none of those past cases delivered nearly the impact of the newest bomb from Rodney Jones. This litigation is noteworthy for 2 fundamental reasons. Firstly, it could finally put some light on Diddy's secret orientation, and secondly, there's speculation of video proof catching Diddy's behavior. Jones stated that he was subjected to unwelcome approaches by Diddy's colleagues and that he was pressured into engaging in intercourse with adult workers recruited by Coles. He claimed to have worked for Coles from September 2022 until November 2023, during which time he faced harassment, pressure, and threats. Jones brazenly asserted that he obtained video and audio proof of Diddy, his crew, and others engaged in major unlawful acts. To throw additional gasoline to the fire, he also identified Daphne Joy as one of the supposed adult workers. It's reasonable to say these cases have developed into a chaotic mess. Gene Deal also joined the debate, stating that Diddy was really a Fed informant. Though this may be far-fetched, followers have suggested that Diddy is facing a great purge since he has purportedly exhausted his usage.
I had 3 victims that I've been working with, victims of the Carters, that were ready to come forward. This might help them feel a little more confident now. So this is great. Everything you see about him is an illusion, but what he loves most is controlling youth.
Fact check me. And Jaguar has more information than I do. So to anybody who discredits her is really doesn't know what's going on, because she has more information than I could even dream of having, because I'm sure, without even speaking to her about this,
for 15 years, we've all accepted the same story. Rihanna, the innocent victim, Jay Z, the protecting mentor, Chris Brown, the monster who wrecked it all. But what if everything you believe you know is backwards? What if the actual victim was suppressed while the true offender built an empire on lies? Tonight, Jaguar Wright shatters every assumption you've ever had about this narrative, because sometimes the one portraying the victim is really the one covering for the true crime. And the information she's going to release will establish that Rihanna isn't innocent. she's complicit. Let's start at the beginning, but not the fairy tale version you've been given. Picture this: a 16-year-old girl from Barbados traveled halfway across the globe without her parents, sitting alone in a Manhattan tower at 3 a.m. No chaperone, no protection, just a kid and a strong guy who would eventually dominate every part of her existence.
So tell me about your audition with Jay Z. Tell me what he said to you. A really good audition. Yes. But before I met him, I was so nervous. I was shaking literally. But the moment I walked into the office, the atmosphere was so warm and welcoming. And you had to sing a cappella for him? Yes, I had to sing. I sang Pon de Replay. I sang another ballad from the album last time. Yeah. So then what did he say to you? He said something to you. Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief. But then he said something about a window and a door or something. Oh, then he said, he said it whole word. I did a lot of homework on you, this lady. He said, there are two ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor. So you was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing. Yeah.
Beyonce just herself to me like as if she had to. Right. Beyonce, cut it out. But I'm a big fan of your work, you know what I'm saying? Whoop the whoop, and that was just dope. That was dope as hell to me, man. That was dope.
Listen closely to Rihanna's own words as she unintentionally recounts the truth about that night. She calls it an audition, but note the specifics she let slip. The intimidation, the isolation, the way she was held there until she had no option but to sign.
Signed her that night. We didn't let her leave the office. Really? The 3 a.m. was when that contract got signed. So from the meeting around 3, 4 in the afternoon, we signed it by 3 a.m. Wow. That day I was absolutely certain.
How often does that happen? I mean, that's
not often.
That's unheard of, right?
That's not, yeah. I mean, to get lawyers to draft up contracts and then the other side to agree to contracts in 10 hours that's retarded.
Now, here's Jay Z himself, years later, openly gloating about what happened. We didn't let her leave without signing. Think about those words. An adult man confesses he didn't let a 16-year-old girl leave his office until she signed away her future. That's not a commercial deal, that's coercion.
Discovered. This is an unusual story.
Well, first, I met a producer in Barbados who was vacationing there because his wife is from there. So he was vacationing there one time, and my friend who knows him, she wanted me to meet with him. So in a nutshell, I went to his hotel room, I sang for him, and he was impressed. So he invited me out to his studio to do some recording, and we recorded for like a year back and forth. Then we finally put a demo together. We sent it to a few labels, and Def Jam happened to be the first label to call back. They were the most enthusiastic about everything. So we set up a meeting with Jay Z, and I met with him, and he was very impressed by the audition. And he didn't let me leave until 3 in the morning after we signed the deal.
Well, were you nervous meeting Jay?
What? I was literally shaking in the lobby. It was the longest 12 hours of my life. Like, I was just waiting downstairs, and I was like, get the contract down here. I want to sign. I was so hyped. I didn't sleep for the next 3 days.
And here's the evidence of the psychological trauma. Rihanna couldn't sleep for 3 days after that signing. 3 days. When someone can't sleep after a business meeting, that's not enthusiasm. That's a trauma reaction. Your body knows when something dreadful has occurred, even when your mind attempts to excuse it.
He was a kid at that time, correct?
A 15-year-old girl who had been flown to the United States without parental supervision or a chaperone, brought to a grown man's office in a large corporate Manhattan building. Everybody knew when she flew in. I was there the day she got signed. Everyone was talking about it. And the 6 hours that she spent with him, and the 4 hours that she spent alone with him with no parental supervision. Her father didn't show up till the next day to come and collect the check.
Well, and
this isn't her life.
The rumors were even beyond that, right? That Jay Z was cheating on Beyonce with her when she was 17, is what a lot of this came out through a publicist who later then had to apologize.
Have you spoken to my friend Jonathan Hay? You should talk to Jonathan.
But Jaguar Wright pulls us farther into the darkness. She admits that Rihanna was really much younger, just 15, when this methodical training started. A 15-year-old girl, alone in a corporate building with a predator who had been arranging this meeting for hours. 4 hours. This youngster was alone with him while the whole industry looked the other way.
And then the next thing you know, she was removed from that first team from Palm the Replay and replaced with all new handlers and kept sheltered in Los Angeles, where she was going out to parties and partying at 15, 16, 17 years old, hanging out at the Rainbow Room, hanging out. Yeah, like it was one of my friends who found out she was 17 when everyone thought she was 21. And he was like, yo, why do y'all got me carrying this girl around? And she's, it's cool, it's cool.
Well, but just to echo and support you, like they had to debunk that. Oh, we apologize. It wasn't real. We made it up in hopes of giving her single a boost.
Yeah, they
like,
promised
what?
Jonathan a deal working at Tidal and something, and then they reneged. And then the next thing you know, he was caught in a home invasion robbery while he was working on the Drake secret baby mama story,
Jeez.
Sophie. He was duct taped him and his daughter, and he was pow whipped in front of his child. So, you know, there's a lot that goes on in the backdrop.
The conditioning didn't end with the contract. Jaguar uncovers how Rihanna was instantly thrust into adult party settings at barely 15 and 16, surrounded by those who should have protected her, but instead supported her abuse. And here's the terrifying part. When others in the business attempted to speak out, tried to point out that she was only a child, they were methodically erased from the picture. Even her Grammy moment, what should have been her triumph, was controlled and disrupted by Jay Z. Watch this clip and ask yourself, is this a mentor enjoying his artist's accomplishment or a controller making sure his asset remains in line?
Dad, I know I promised you I'm gonna give you my first Grammy, but we might have to fight for this one.
She said she want to thank everybody for her first Grammy.
Anyway, I'd like to thank Jay Z for being a part of this record with me.
She like to thank Jigga Man for being the greatest in the world.
Ellen Reed, Steve Bartles, Tata, Jay Brown, Karen Kwok for finding this amazing record. Tricky, Dream for writing such a beautiful record. Thank you, I love you guys. Mom, Dad, my two brothers, Rory and Rajad. Please wrap up, okay? Barbados, I love you. We got one. Evan Rogers, Carl Sturken, Mark Jordan, Krista, and making sure I don't forget anybody. Thank you so much. This means a lot.
This isn't the narrative of a found talent. This is proof of systematic predatory conduct cloaked in the lingo of the music industry. And the most unsettling part, Rihanna understood this technique so well that she would later employ these exact same tactics to help ruin someone who threatened to disclose the truth. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, because first, you need to realize that Rihanna wasn't Jay Z's only target. She was part of a trend that had been recurring for decades. And the person who understands this pattern better than anybody else, the lady sleeping next to him every night.
He's been evading, but the thing is, everyone in the backdrop knew that he was the celebrity John Doe. Everybody knew that. They knew it when I did Pierce Morgan.
Is Beyonce Celebrity B?
I hope to God not. But she was around. And she's very... she's got enough on her plate. After everything that happened with the election and everything that's happening right now, I'm not going to dump on that woman. She got better fish to fry.
Well,
what I will say is that her husband, she knows exactly who he is.
Jaguar Wright shares a revelation that should rock you to your core. Beyonce knows precisely who her husband is. She knows what he's been doing. She's been seeing this systematic predatory conduct for decades, and she's decided to keep quiet, not because she's terrified, but because she's safeguarding an empire worth more to her than the lives he's devastated. Think about that for a moment. The lady revered as a feminist icon, the one who sings about female strength, has been the closest witness to the systemic maltreatment of young girls and has never spoken a thing.
He was after Beyonce when she was before 18, correct? I mean, as we go through the timeline, they claim, oh no, I met him at 18 and then we waited till I was 19, but they knew each other when she was like 15, 16, correct? He clearly had eyes, and it's not the only one, right? There's Aaliyah as well. I was looking at these photos. There's a history
of this,
right?
Definitely. A lot of people don't realize the timeline, but after everything went bad with Robert Kelly and he had to divorce Aaliyah, Jay Z was interested while she was still underage. And as she started spending more time in New York, he was very, very, very right there. She didn't want that. She didn't want that with him. And if there's one thing I can tell you about Sean Carter, being embarrassed and being rejected are things he does not handle well. You know, a lot of people say, oh, you're crazy. He didn't do anything to Big L.
Now, Jaguar displays the entire breadth of the pattern. Jay Z didn't only pursue Rihanna, he actively went after Beyonce while she was underage. And before that, he chased Aaliyah when she was only a teenager. 3 separate instances, 3 different girls, same predatory behavior. But here's where it gets chilling. Aaliyah was different. She rejected him, and according to Jaguar, Jay Z doesn't take rejection well. Remember that statement, because we'll come back to it when we speak about what happens to those who refuse to go along with his system. Notice the time frame here. Beyonce at 15, Aaliyah at 16, Rihanna at 15. This isn't happenstance. This is approach. Jay Z has been utilizing his industry position to access and abuse kids for over 30 years, and he's created a method for accomplishing it.
That Jay Z used to have transgender women on there, on the tour bus. He knows that. He knows that Jay Z used to prefer transgender women. So I don't know why. I wish Dame Dash would come out and, you know, say everything, but maybe in his own way, he's trying to, you know, protect the hip hop culture and knows how many people could be crushed if he came out and really spoke about Jay Z's secrets. They set out to do that, you know?
Did you personally see Jay Z with transgender women? You personally?
I have, correct.
Can you speak on like maybe in what aspect? Is it music video or outside of music videos?
It was during the tour. It was during the tour with the Mill, DMX, Jay Z.
The Hard Knock Life.
No.
Or maybe a different one.
Yeah, they had the documentary for it. What was that called? I'll think of it. I'll think of it here in a little bit.
Yeah, it was a documentary, backstage or the
backstage with the Mill and all that. I used to work with her, and I definitely. It was unmistakable. You know, in 2024, the trans women are, you know, it can be hard, you know, like a lot of people that, you know, they don't know, but back then it wasn't as advanced and you could clearly tell, you know, that was a guy.
But the trend extends considerably deeper than we thought. Here's industry insider Jonathan Hay describing Jay Z's secret deviance. Behavior so disgusting that even his closest business colleagues observed it. Dame Dash observed things that made him uncomfortable enough to disassociate himself from Jay Z forever. This isn't just about targeting young girls. This is about a guy whose personal conduct was so disgusting that his own business partner couldn't handle being around him longer. And recall, this is the same guy who was alone in that office with 15-year-old Rihanna for 4 hours. But here's what makes Beyonce's silence even more damaging. She didn't just know about the trend, she benefited from it. Every time Jay Z successfully used another young female, it enhanced their empire. Every time he got away with it, it safeguarded their brand. Every time the industry looked the other way, it sealed its legacy. Beyonce made a decision. When she found what her husband actually was, she might have exposed him. She might have safeguarded the other girls. Instead, she opted to become his most powerful partner in covering up decades of systemic cruelty, and that decision would eventually have grave ramifications for anybody who dared to uncover the truth. But first, you need to understand how Jay Z retains power over his victims after he gets them, because the conditioning was only the beginning. What followed next was a methodical control effort meant to assure perpetual quiet and cooperation.
Speaking of PTSD, you made a comment about this. Like, this was from the Super Bowl appearance more recently. This bothered you, seeing her put the Rockefellers logo out there.
If you
what was
go
your
back
instinct to that?
and watch, it was almost as if she didn't want to put her hands up, and then she looked over where Jay-Z's box was, and then you just see her hand. She look at her. She's looking at his box. She didn't want to do it. She didn't even want to do that gig. But the hold, especially the financial hold with the companies and all of the money and all of the strings that he pulled to. He treats these women like shell corporations.
Is that why this happened? Do you have any insight on this infamous elevator video where Solange was seen just unloading on him? Beyonce's there as well.
What I will say is, right there, that's the moment when he told her to back up and called her Tito Jackson.
Respect
and
love to Tito Jackson, who we just lost recently.
I know. Tito
Legend,
could never get a break. And he's the nicest guy.
But here,
yeah,
Jay-Z trying to mimic, she's not worthy, she's nobody, is what he's trying to do.
Pretty much is what he pretty much said to her. But the thing is there was infidelity that was happening that night. Both of them got caught doing things they weren't supposed to do. I believe there might have been some DV that happened. And people who know Mr. Carter knows he doesn't have a problem with putting his hands on his wife. Plenty of people know that to be true. Solange is different. Allegedly, Solange is different. She's old school Southern, and she loves her big sister, even when her big sister makes mistakes. She stood up for her sister. The most interesting thing about that, though, can we look at that one more time, Andy? They come in, and all of this, and then look, it almost looks like he's going to defend himself, but instead he prostrates himself, right? He lets Solange go nuts, and then he sits there and acts. He knows that camera's there. He knows where all the cameras are in that place. There's another footage, and I'll get it and I'll send it to you, of him with another woman approaching him aggressively, or it seemed like aggressively, and he the crap out of her. Matter of fact, there's at least 5 different shows over the course of the past 15 years where he has physically women that came into his space that he didn't want anywhere near him. So I find it funny that in all those other instances, he had no problem with putting his hands on a woman to so-called defend himself. But when he's getting killed alive with cameras there, all of a sudden now he's meek and mild. I think that was a setup. I think he did that specifically to handle up on Solange.
Watch her analyze Rihanna's behavior at the Super Bowl, how she reluctantly flashes Jay-Z's Rockefeller sign, looking directly at his box for permission before complying. This isn't an artist honoring her mentor, this is a controlled person performing for her controller. Jaguar reveals the financial control Jay-Z has over both Rihanna and Beyonce. They're not partners in his empire, they're business assets, controlled and exploited to protect his interests. Every public appearance, every gesture, every comment is geared to sustain the image that supports his predatory system. But the power goes much deeper than financial manipulation. According to Jaguar's sources, both Beyonce and Rihanna are victims of systemic domestic abuse. This is the horrible reality beneath the glossy facade. The 2 most powerful women in music are both being physically abused by the same guy, and the business has educated them to cover for each other's abuser.